Can you see it? A new wave of empowerment is coming your way. Angela Greenig, Auburn, WA. The blind will see. In this new year, a new move of God is upon us, with increased signs and wonders and unusual, creative miracles. Recently the Father said to me, I'm giving you keys of revelation that will unlock the mysteries of heaven. Tell them that the blind will see. Luke chapter 7 verses 22-23 NIV. So he replied to the messengers, Go back and report to John what you have seen and heard. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. Blessed is anyone who does not stumble on account of me. A new wave of empowerment. The revival of signs and wonders is what will bring exposure to the New Age, the occult, and the false religions. Many believers are attuned to the sound of the Spirit of God and have been waiting for the sound to begin to move. As this sound moves, a new wave will be released with empowerment, like those spoken of in Acts chapter 4 verse 31. God told his people to ask him for the former and the latter rains, and I believe the prayers of the saints for divine rain are being answered, and the waters are about to burst forth. God's people are coming out of famine and barrenness into the overflow. Even now, as I write this, I see a wave crashing over us, and from it I see an outpouring of golden, amber oil flowing down, producing fires that will not be quenched or put out. As a ripple effect of this sound, God's presence and glory will move in such an unprecedented way that you will begin to push beyond the limits of your own faith. The glory will release angelic visitations that will shift the atmosphere. What has been held back in the areas you are contending for will be released. Photo via Unsplash. Restoring unity to the body. Ezekiel chapter 37 verse 7 speaks of how the Father is restoring unity and bringing life within the body of Christ, which I believe is another ripple effect in this movement. Many of God's children have been separated throughout the years because of doctrinal issues or whatever the case may be, but in 2020, a peculiar move is happening and will continue to happen among the different denominations that have been seeking Christ. I believe this move will be like a tidal wave, and the body of Christ will be swept up in it. As they are swept up in this glorious wave of his presence, every dividing wall of religion and doctrine will be broken between denominations and people groups, as they will not be able to withstand against the power of the wave. They will all be pulled into the same body of water, finally representing the one, true body of Christ. These waves of glory will also draw souls to the light of Christ's love. It's time to release the ancient wells. There is a movement that has begun, and God says, it is time to release the ancient wells. These wells will release the ancient portals and awaken my people again to operate out of holiness and righteousness, as they seek me with all their hearts. A prophetic hour of destiny is upon us. Events foretold by the prophets, our forefathers and mothers, are coming to pass in our day, and we must keenly be listening for the sound of heaven to guide us. We must also help all God's children become attuned to the sound of heaven throughout the nations, as it is the sound of revival. We are on a collision course with destiny. Within the waves of glory, I see two streams colliding with one another. As they collide, the spiritual kingdom will invade the natural kingdom. We will start to see transformation break out not only in our churches, cities, states, and even nations, but we are going to see entire continents burn with revival fires and miracles, with signs and wonders to follow. Photo via Pixabay. Restoration and outpouring. I believe that the month of March will release waves of blessings from the Father to restore his children. In particular, I see three groups of people the Lord is specifically wanting to draw closer to himself: Indigenous, Latin, and Muslims people. I believe we are on the shoreline of the greatest outpouring of souls to have their names written in the Lamb's Book of Life in history. It is important that we are listening for the sound of heaven, now more than ever. Can you hear it? Can you hear the slow growing roar of heaven on the move around you? Can you hear revival knocking louder and louder on the doors of hearts and churches and nations? If not, ask the Father to tune your ear to hear it, and to be obedient to where it draws you. We want to be swept up in the fullness of the outpouring of glory he has in store for this season. All of us are being called, not a few, but all. You have great value in the kingdom. Remember your birthright, remember who you are, sons and daughters of the one true God. Let's get ready to go and make disciples of all people. *, please don't miss our emerging and newly found prophets. Subscribe here. Angela T. Greenig, Angela Greenig Ministries International. Email, angela@angelagreenig.com. Website, www.angelagreenig.com. Angela Greenig. Greenig is a seasoned seer, warrior for Jesus Christ and a leading force in deliverance ministry. Her teaching and insight comes from years on the front lines of spiritual warfare, with a heart of welfare for the salvation and deliverance of people. Angela and her husband Larry call Washington state their home, and since Washington consistently ranks as one of the most unchurched states in the nation, they are very aware of the desperate need for Christ in their region and abroad. For over 30 years Angela has been responding to the needs as a defender of the faith and a voice for those who have no voice, traveling the world, preaching, and training the body of Christ. Throughout her travels, Angela has built and contributed to ministries in multiple cities across North America and nations throughout of the world.